Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dubs. I'm your host, Bill T. Well, another Friday, another podcast. I hope you guys are looking forward to the weekend. This weekend coming up, you've got the Prado Black Star event happening. If you guys are going to be out there, make sure you take care. Don't drink too much and stay out of the sun. Make sure you bring your sunscreen. But there's going to be a bunch of buses, bugs, VWs, things, and all kinds of stuff out there this weekend. So there's tons of different events going on, and we're going to get into some of those later in the podcast. But before we kick things off, I want you guys to make sure you support our sponsors, Ross Wolf, high quality aftermarket parts made by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. That's right, Ross Wolf. Why don't you get your junky deck lid dialed in on your bus and get you some stainless steel bus hinges? They're in a machine finish. They're billet aluminum and, they're billet stainless steel. They're in an etched finish, ready to paint, prime, polish, whatever you want to do with them. But fix your junky deck lid hinges. Get the slop out of your deck lid and get that thing dialed in. And go see my guys at Ross Wolf. Also, you got the new Viton gaskets that they make for your oil sump cover. If you're sick and tired of changing those paper gaskets get yourself a Ross Wolf sump oil cover. Tell them Bill T sent you. And no more changing paper gaskets. A reusable Viton gasket, just like a new car. Or pick yourself up a locking dipstick. That's right. They have the locking dipsticks. One of my personal favorites. So make sure you guys check out Ross Wolf at rosswolf.com. And don't forget to support our sponsor, VW Trends Magazine, a magazine for the people, by the people, back on the scene after a long hiatus. They've been out now for a couple of years, and the issues just keep coming. So don't forget, one of my boys, Johnny Osmondson, was in an issue a few issues back and has one of the most devastating street race drag bugs on the planet. So we'll talk more about that later on the podcast. But today, what are we doing today? Today, I'm bringing you guys a roundtable. That's right, a roundtable with two guys. So it's not really a roundtable, but we call it a roundtable. We're at a rectangular desk. It's totally confusing, but that's what you guys got coming. You guys like to hear me and George bicker back and forth and talk about the VW scene? Well, this is what you're getting today. So on today's episode, we're going to be getting into the roundtable with me and George T. So on today's podcast, me, George T, and the roundtable.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like.
George T, what up?
Bill T.
Oh, just living, just trying to live my VW life as it continues to keep piling on. It just keeps piling. It's like cars show up out of nowhere, so.
Yeah, it's a tough problem.
But a couple things that we wanted to get into. So for those of you guys that don't know, George started a YouTube channel a little bit, what is it, a couple months ago, 3-4 months ago?
Yeah.
And George's been making a bunch of how-to videos and how to get your stuff dialed in. So you guys want to make sure you go subscribe. George, tell them about your YouTube channel.
It's called The Wagon, W-A-G-E-N. Basically, I'm going to try and do some good tutorials showing how to upgrade certain things on your VW and also activities that we do, us, when I say we, I'm referring to my brother and I, that we do in the scene when we go out to shows and whatnot out of state.
Activities like breakdancing and then getting around a crowd, possibly some tap dancing, some stuff like that.
But I'm trying to lean more towards the tutorial side of it. They're a little more difficult to film, but I want to put good content out there so the do-it-yourselfers in their garage can do just a slightly better job. Yeah, with the right direction.
Definitely some good quality videos. And George's been shooting all his own stuff, writes, edits, it does it all.
There's a one-man army over here.
And it's good content, plenty of stuff to do. George got quite a few views on his shop tour video, which I think everybody's interested to see what's going on at the shop. And then, George's got a bunch of projects. And as he's working on cars, he'll make some how-to videos and a lot of interesting stuff. What I'm really looking forward to for George doing, if you guys want to know how to tune a set of dual Webers, George is going to make that video coming up. And there's a lot more to it. It's really easy if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, so I actually have to that is a video I do want to do, and I have to break it into two. Because I have to do a base tune on the engine because you can't sync carbs if the actual base tune is incorrect. So first I got to do a base tune, how you tune your motor. And then secondary will be the tuning the carbs, syncing the carburetors.
Nice. And so that's something we got to look forward to coming up here. So, what else is shaking, George? What else has been happening in your world? I know we talk about just recently. We talked about YouTube channel. This last week, I went to the ID Buzz event. It was Octo weekend, ID Buzz, and then the RVA show, as well as the ISP West open house. I went down there on Thursday, trying to get into the ID Buzz thing. The plan was to bring the Bull Run, not the Bull Run bus, but the Beetle Barn, the Beetle Barn bus down there, and upholstery didn't get done in time. So I scrapped that. Luckily, George came over to help me work on the double cab. We couldn't figure out to get it fired up, and then realized I had a bad coil on it, which, by the way, I just purchased a new coil sitting inside the house. The replacement coil that I had on there had an Excel coil that's been on that car for over 20 years, man. So the coil finally took a crap. Last time we were on that big cruise out Red Rock Canyon, the bus, my son was driving the bus. And besides being a super proud dad that your son is driving your double cab, which is, I have to explain to you guys, and some of you guys that have kids can totally get it. Like when you got your little kid and you're in the garage working on your Volkswagen, doing whatever, you're thinking, one day, man, this kid's going to be in a Volkswagen. And sure enough, my kid is, he's all in. He's all in to work on Volkswagens and do stuff. And he loves driving it. Now he's got his little family cruising around with it. So that's a proud papa moment for me. But unfortunately, that was sweetly soured by the baptism of Volkswagen, where it started to
welcome to air-cooled Volkswagens.
it just started to sputter.
There's a random problem out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so we thought I was running out of gas, all kinds of issues, and then we made haste and went straight to the Greek food place to eat lunch, and then tried to go get some gas in it because we thought it ran out of gas. And then that's
so
funny.
we pushed it to the gas station and put fuel in it, which it didn't fill a tank, obviously, because it wasn't enough that you
just
pumped
a couple
into it.
gallons. No, I overfilled it because towing it to Octo, like gas was spilling all over the place. So, which we got to look at that on the double cab because there's I'm saying, I don't know, maybe I'm pretty sure I put the tank in there and maybe some things
questionable.
Came loose. You know, maybe
slightly questionable.
Maybe some things came loose. The high speed hose, but double cab's back on the road, so she's running good and crisp, and that's the motor that we stole out of the Bull Run bus motor, while the double cab motor gets the flywheel dialed in and probably gets a new crank in it because the crank wobbled out last time that you and I went to. We did a high speed run down to Lucas's show in Parker, Arizona. We went there and back, and I think it's about 100 miles from here, so it's a 200-mile round trip day, and we were hauling the mail, dude. Yeah. We were doing about 75 average coming back, and
easily. Yeah.
We were flying because I was just trying to get back home, and at any rate, that's where we're at with that. So the double cab's getting dialed in, so that's kind of back to being running. I got a couple other issues because
talk about the ID Buzz thing real quick.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So I took the double cab because the Beetle Barn bus wasn't ready for the upholstery shop. We got the double cab running in time, loaded on the trailer, and I took the double cab down there. So at the ID Buzz thing I got there about 30 minutes after they closed the gate, so I was kind of bummed out. That same Friday, we were releasing the podcast on Lynn's bus, the Schul wagon, and which is a really cool bus. We'll get into that in a few minutes. And so I ended up going to the hotel we stayed at, which had trailer parking. I unloaded the double cab at 5 a.m. and shot on down there to Huntington Beach. I got there, hung out for a little bit, waited for George and those guys because they were going to drive down. George will tell his story when he's done his part, but I'm kind of walking around, checking things out. I seen some of my boys from DBK, and my homie Pip was over there chilling. And then I never knew that they're like, I never even got hardly past my bus. You know, I was taking some video, running into some friends, and you know, it's one of those things where you get to a car show and you're like, take 3 feet away. Oh, hey, there's so and so, and you just start talking. And I got some cool video from the guys from Canada, Triple J's. Shout out to the Triple J's that came down from Canada, the whole Canadian crew, even my boy Sandwich, my boy Ruben. He's my dog too, man. He's got a super dope palm green, sand green bus that he built all in his garage. And there's like 5 dudes that came down from Canada, and they did a freaking. I mean, bro, it was epic adventure
from Canada?
For these guys. Yeah, they're from Canada. I mentioned they're from Canada, so.
Canadian.
It was not. I like Canadian better. They call it Canadian when they talk about maple syrup. But those guys came down, and I interviewed those guys. So that video will be coming out this week, just kind of about their road trip and some of the adventures that they had on there, and let you know, just having you check out their buses. Right, these buses. I mean, 2 barn doors, and they're committed, bro. Because I'd have just left the guys. You know what I mean? Like. That's some
stock motor barn doors,
1600 dual port in a split in a stock barn door trans. But those guys are dedicated, right? More dedicated than I am. or they just have a little bit more time this week. So
what I want to talk about the ID Buzz thing was the spread that VW put out was pretty awesome. The stage, the giveaways.
Yeah, but you weren't allowed over there.
I'm not even talking about it. I'm talking about like when you pulled up and you're like, oh, wow, this is they made a big deal of this.
But I wanted to bring that up because
of course you did.
Because all the people that were there, I didn't know that you had to have a wristband to get past a certain line. And so as I was talking to my homeboy, Pip, he was leaving and he was like, here, homie, take this bracelet and go in the VIP section. I'm like, oh, I didn't know there's a VIP section. I figured I'd already be in the VIP section, but no, I was denied. So I was just a peasant like the rest of the people. And what's funny is Bus and stuff, Dave Mears, he's over there and I had the wristband on, and apparently my poker face is terrible because as I had the wristband on, I intended thinking to myself, I was just going to strut on through. And then I looked left and right and then walked in there. And then Dave comes up behind me. He's like, man, look at you crossing the border again. He was real proud of me for breaking in there. And then I felt guilty like right away, like, no, bro, I got a wristband. I'm supposed to be here. He's like, oh, I thought you broke in. I go, actually, it's not my wristband. So I went from like wanting not to be like the dude who had a stolen wristband to like, oh, yo, I had a wristband. But when you got inside there, you had free food, free drinks, I was just rubbing elbows with all the white folk in there. And I was like, oh, I'll take 2 of those and give me 3 of those. And it was super nice. They were giving little trinkets, little souvenirs and some stuff like that. And then everybody got to get all up close to the buses and all that stuff. And we'll talk about how we felt about the ID Buzz. But the setup was cool. And then some of the CEOs and stuff like that were walking through.
They put a lot of effort into that setup. Like for Huntington Beach, to
to
get that stage set up there and everything, like they put a lot of effort in.
What's a big rollout? It's a brand new bus they're putting out here. So, what was your impression when you got there and you saw the setup you were saying?
I was extremely pleased by it. I actually got a picture the night before from Steve Peters because he was down there already. So he sent me a picture. I said, man, that looks like a stage. And I'm like, what are they doing there? And sure enough, it was a big stage they had set up with a VW backdrop, and they had what I thought was really cool is they did several iterations of the bus, not just one. Like, hey, everybody, look at this.
Right.
They had one set up as a camper, and one set up as a minivan looking thing. Like, so I thought that was really neat that they showed the versatility of the vehicle because truly the VW bus is a very versatile vehicle.
If you could afford one at $80,000, would you buy one?
No. I would never buy a car for $80,000. That seems insane to me.
I said if you could afford one and $80,000 was just what they cost, would you buy one?
I don't know. No.
It's kind of like the new Beetle. Like I saw it and I was like, oh, all right.
You're never going to capture that lightning in a bottle you did with the VW bus in the initial
I think you
release.
can, bro. I think you look at Dodge. Dodge did it with all their recreation cars. Dodge did it. Chevy did it with the Camaro.
It'd be a tough ask from the VW bus shape in today's modern world
You
and
can do
not
a cab
have
over,
it look
but they build cab overs today. You buy a brand new cab over.
practicality, working on a cab over, having everything
I hear
inside
you.
there.
I hear you.
And then you got to make the back area like functional like VW bus is. Yeah.
It's electric. They could do whatever they want with
True
it.
on that, I guess.
That's the other issue with it is it being electric. And I mean, my 2 cents on it, I think electric's going to be a bit of a fad because we don't have enough power. The main electric pusher is California. They don't even have enough power for the summertime. They have brownouts on a constant basis, and now they're switching all their driving fleet to electric. Good luck with that. But that's for another conversation. That's just my 2 cents. I think the electric thing will kind of go by the wayside here, and you'll start getting super clean diesel, and I think hydrogen stuff. They're going to start focusing on more hydrogen.
I really like the idea of the electric because, like, you see all these vehicles, bicycles, skateboards, all these things are electric. The one wheel thing that people ride around, all that stuff. It's an excellent mode of transportation. It just cannot be the main mode of transportation. There's no way we can support every car being electric.
I mean, it's a whole. There's a whole lot to unravel there, and it's like, yeah.
I think there's a future for electric. I think there is. Obviously, Tesla is an amazing company. You know, they have innovation, and what you see what's going into the vehicles, all that will obviously get moved to the combustion engine vehicles as well. But it's such a clean platform.
It already is.
I don't mean clean like
a lot of it
environmentally.
Yeah, a lot of it
clean.
A lot of it already is though. I mean, a lot of the stuff they do, the quote unquote self-driving stuff. A lot of that stuff's already in. Like the Mercedes for 2017, my buddy's got an S63, and it's got a lot of that stuff. You stop at the stoplight, you take your foot off the brake, the car sits there until you push the gas. You know what I mean? Like it'll hold the brake. I mean, it does a lot of these different things, but I don't know, man. Not my speed. I don't think I'll ever have an electric vehicle unless I was to do an electric conversion at a Volkswagen, which I think would be cool to do just to do it. You know what I mean? But
I think if you're not road tripping your bus, if you're just going to be driving it in state, whatever you want to call it, like, the typical VW owner, not many of them hit the road with their VW buses. Electric is perfect.
Yeah, but I think but I think the reason why people don't hit the road in their buses is because they don't want to deal with, the strain, the stress, the possibility of having an issue, and the fact that who can fix it if something happens. But if they do electric, I think they'd start going more long distances, stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see. I have yet to see any electric Volkswagens on a regular basis cruising across the desert. So
yeah,
we'll see.
And then next day was Octo.
So we just concluded that there's nothing about that new bus that appealed to me. And
it looked like a minivan. That's the one thing. It just looks like a minivan. And that isn't a dig on it. It just looks like a minivan.
It just ain't what it is. But
the styling does not nod enough, in my opinion, to the original to strike those heartstrings and go, oh my goodness, it's a bus.
The coolest thing about that was that we were, and I can already envision in my head people buying them and vinyl wrapping them super cheesy to look like an old bus, to really going over the top.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it was the venue, to be right down there at Huntington Beach and to be able to go right to the water. So my kids spent hours in the water. My wife got sunburnt.
Sand crabs.
Yeah, my wife got sunburnt just sitting on the beach. Like, we didn't even plan to go to the beach that day, and she was like, she just went and watched my son as he was playing in the water, and so she got fried. But it was a cool location. And then we hung out for quite a while after the show. We weren't in a rush. And what was super cool, there was people that I met from the podcast, like podcast listeners. I met people from New York, people from Cleveland, people from Texas, people from, and the next day I met 2 different couples from Australia. I mean, a lot of people from the podcast that we got to meet, which was super rad. I love meeting listeners of the podcast because I love being able to chat with them about different topics and stories and things that need to be talked about in the VW scene. So that was really, really cool, man. I really enjoyed meeting. I love meeting the listeners of the podcast because sometimes you feel like you're doing this all for yourself. And then when you get out there and you talk to people that really enjoy listening to the podcast, I think it's great, especially when people tell me things like, man, when you guys are on the podcast, I get hyped to go work on my car. I think about stuff to do. And cause that's how the magazines used to be for me. Like the magazines I'd get a magazine. I'd be like, oh man, I'm so jacked to go work on my car, go do this and go do that. And now it's like, it ends up being.
You need that motivation. And the magazine used to do it. And hopefully the podcast's doing it for people. Hopefully the videos that you put out do it for people. Hopefully the videos I put out do it for people. Like the one thing we want are the people working on their cars, bettering their vehicles.
Yeah.
That's what we're asking for.
No. So
I think that's what the people are asking for. Like when it's one of the main compliments I get from people when they're talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
It inspires them to get out and do stuff to their cars.
Well, and that's the fun part of it. Plus just having them compare stories or things that they know. I'm just texting this guy.
No way. You're not paying attention to what's
it's
going
not.
on.
I'm not paying attention, bro. My life goes on. I'm a busy dude, and I'm busy bringing a podcast to everybody.
Yeah, I had a text from a customer. He knows I didn't respond to it yet. We're busy.
Well,
dude.
people heard a little thing going on. I didn't want the guy to keep calling, bro. People keep calling me, so I had some content. So what was the? So you, let's hear your story about driving down and blah blah blah. Let's go ahead.
We met at 7 a.m. Cactus and the I-15 and took off, head over to California.
How many of you drove down together?
3 of us. So there was 4 of us people.
Right.
It was me and my bus, Jaime and Dunkel and Dunkel's bus, and Eric Black and his bus.
Three buses drove down, so you guys all drove down from Vegas, and the weather was not bad coming down.
It was beautiful coming down, going home. Ugh.
Well, yeah, because you went home in the afternoon also, which is
75 degrees. It was nice, and I was like,
75 degrees when you're at the beach.
This might be doable. Yeah. I got duped into it.
Yeah, so
because I heard, the high today is only 90, and I was like, heck, if it's only 90, it's not gonna be that hot. And like 90 is pretty hot.
Yeah,
90 is really hot when you're driving down the street
it is.
At a high rate of speed. Yeah,
it's miserable.
And then my motor, I don't know. So, well, let's talk about Octo. Octo, we showed up there, and we weren't even that late. We got there, we were still in a line when we got there, and we were in the overflow section.
Let me clarify some stuff before when you got there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hanging out the night before at the ID Buzz thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm going to go get checked into my hotel, which is all the way over by the hotel across from Octo.
Mm-hmm.
And Maybe we'll get some dinner. Maybe we'll do whatever. I drive over there. I'm a little bit tired. My wife's tired. So I'm like, you know what, dude, we're just going to kick it here and we'll connect in the morning. And then I get the mystery text about donuts. And I somehow read this text as if, hey, we're going to go get donuts in the morning. I thought it meant you're going to Donuts and Derelicts, which is usually something that real car guys do. And so when I left, I was so close to Octo, which is the hotel we need to stay at next time for Octo.
Let's just clarify real quick.
Right
Nobody
there.
said, hey, we're going to Donuts and Derelicts. We said, we're going to Donut City. We're going to Donut City. Here's the address.
Let me clarify. So
here's a link to open up on your Apple phone that's going to take you right to it.
Nope.
You assumed. You know what happens when you assume?
Don't try
an ass out of you and me,
don't
bro,
try
right?
to back out of it now, dude. So let's see here. The text says, this is what the text says. We're going to go meet tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Donut City. I'm thinking Donuts and Derelicts, right?
Oh, why? Why? Because where was
Because
Derelicts
that's
in
what
that?
car guys do in the morning on Saturday morning.
Nope, we're going to Octo. These car guys are going to Octo.
Bro, I've been at real car guys. So anyway, I drive over there in the morning and a bunch of peace, love, and hippie people are in line to get an Octo, and there's 2 lanes coming each different direction. And the problem that I see is that there's not a lot of peace loving going on. They can't seem to thread the needle and get 2 lanes together to get in.
Yeah. And
I'm sitting in there for like 15 minutes. I'm like, it's 10 minutes. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm going to go meet those guys over at Donuts and Derelicts because it's going to take me half an hour to get in the line. It takes me 20 minutes to drive over there. I'll drive over there, hand out some flyers for the show. One Crazy Weekend, October 6th and 7th. And I'm going to go over Donuts and Derelicts, hang out over there, check out some cars. So I bomb on the freeway, jamming down the other way. On the freeway, there's buses passing me the other direction. I get off the freeway, go over there. I back into a spot. I don't know the feng shui over there or if there's any kind of protocol as to who does what and parks where, but I picked the first spot that I saw, which was right up front in the middle, and was backed right in and got a bunch of stank eyes from a bunch of gray-haired people. And I don't know if I was in a V8 spot.
Man, that
or
does
what.
sound like fun.
But I backed, but I backed. You're not a car guy, bro. You're just a VW guy. Listen, I'm a broad
I was with my car guy friends. We were eating donuts heading to a car
no,
show.
No, losers. You guys ditch your homeboy. So I'm texting you guys and I'm on my way to Donuts and Derelicts.
No, you texted me you're on your way to Donuts and Duramax. And I said, what is he talking about? What is Donuts and Duramax?
Here's the text, dude.
Go to me.
I'm at my hotel in Long Beach. We're probably going to grab dinner, crash here. Okay, yep, that seems to be the... then there's a different text. Yeah, see you in the AM donut shop if possible. But that's a backtrack for you. Otherwise, we'll see you when we're leaving the donut shop. The donut, I don't recall you guys being these huge donut aficionados. No. I never have seen you guys show up at Octo with donuts. So when you continue to keep talking about donuts, I'm thinking you guys are talking Donuts and Derelicts.
Nope.
And so that's the reason I head over there. Notwithstanding that, I drive over there. Plenty of people appreciated the carbon cab when they got there. I walked around, put some flyers in the Volkswagens that were there. I talked to my boy Rick Sadler for probably about 20, 30 minutes. Hung out with him and then realized I was probably there for 45 minutes. I thought, it's probably enough time that line is gone at Octo and I can go back because it's like a 20-minute drive back. So I was like, no big deal. So I hop in the carbon cab, start to pull out. 2 randos from France. I don't even have their name, but you can check them out. He's Family Bus on Instagram. And I pull up to the sidewalk getting ready to leave. And they come to the bus. They say, are you going to Octo? I'm like, yeah. They're like, can we go with you? And I was like, that's a bold move, Frenchie. But I was like, yeah, come on, hop in, guys. You know what? I'm a dream maker, dude. I make dreams come true. And I know that inside one time they were in France and we're like, oui. And they were like, hey, one day I'll drive in a carbon cab. And then I was at the curb and I was like, get in, boys. So 2 random guys from France hop in the carbon cab and they're pretty stoked to drive in there. So I drive back and you see me pulling an Octo and you're like,
yeah, who is Bill with? Who are those guys with Bill?
Who are those French hitchhikers that Bill's got in the bus?
And I was trying to flag you over to come over to where we were at.
Well, and I saw you guys over there, but I thought I wanted to set my Easy up to have a presence there. And I don't even know why, because I hate standing there trying to sell. I like to have a nice piece of shade to hang out with the chairs and the table and all that stuff.
We had. And
I pretend to be there to sell shirts, but I give away more shirts than I sell because I'm terrible at making a profit with my passion that I love.
God forbid you make $1 back on the dollar you spend.
And so I got there and they're like, "Oh yeah, the swap meet's full." So I drove around and I zipped back and forth. There's one row where
That
like
row had like nobody in it. I don't
correct,
even get that.
and the other row like down that I had to drive through was like double stacked and
Yeah.
no room. So I looped back through there and I set up my little swap space. The French dudes helped me set up the easy up, and then I told them dudes to kick rocks, and they
you said, "Earn your keep. Help me set this up."
all right, guys, listen here. Hey, Pierre and the other guy, I forget what their names are. Cool dudes, good dudes, man. And so they helped me. They're in town for like a month. Man, these French guys,
I'm sure they're experiencing like since there's a show every weekend
they
in
vacate
California. Why not?
hard.
That's Europeans. They get it. They're allowed to apparently.
Yeah, so
They get like
that was my
time
deal.
off.
I saw you guys parked way back on the other side. Didn't save me a spot, I noticed. And then so I just kept on driving. And then you guys did what when you were over there? So I showed up. What are you guys doing? Because I hardly got to walk around Octo at all.
I walked around a little bit.
And
Went over and saw you. Brought you your blue Rockstar.
yeah, good man.
Mm-hmm. Watched your booth while you went to the bathroom several times.
I didn't go to the bathroom several times, dude.
Several times.
I went one time
Your
and then
family finally
wandered
showed
around.
up.
Then I wandered around.
I bought stupid things like an alternator stand and a freaking doghouse adapter. All the dumb stuff I normally buy.
Well, that's not dumb stuff because you use it, right?
Yeah.
So
And saw some good friends. Saw Russell.
right. What did you see that was most impressive?
Honestly, Lynn's bus to me is the most impressive, and this isn't a dig on Pippin the 23 because I think it was awesome and it's a work of art.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I know that dude Lind is like very detail oriented, and I know the details in that build. If people didn't see it, it's the bus that had it's like a mobile repair teaching vehicle, and
Yeah.
it has a rack in it that holds a transaxle and a front beam, and then it has an actual engine stand in it where the engine is in the center of the bus as well, and then behind it is all the cabinetry for all the original VW tooling throughout it. I mean, it's extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah, I mean that's the one that the last podcast you guys listened to was all about that bus, and
And
there's
he said he did it. He started in January.
yeah,
Like when he told me that, I was like, "Wow,
yeah, real short,
that cord's making noise."
a real short window on that. Now it's picking up the feedback from the phone. But yeah, real short timeline on that. What else? What else did you see over there? Is he any good buys?
The 23 window that Pip did was beautiful. The twin turboed, laid out on the Fuchs. I don't like the way the Fuchs were done with the black rim. That's just never been my jam.
I can't stand that
it.
look.
It looks
bro.
the wheel looks too bubbly. I mean the bus was awesome and it's dope, but that ain't my jam on Fuchs. I like that outer lip to be chrome to give that definition between tire and rim. Mm-hmm. I don't like when they bleed into each other like that.
Yeah, no. I agree 1,000%.
Beautiful bus built to an extremely high level. There are a lot of freaking nice barn doors there. That was really cool. There was actually 3 of them with white roofs, but 2 of them belonged to one gentleman. I think he came all the way from Idaho or something like that. Like they did quite the journey in those things.
Yeah, there's a. I mean, I think total number of barn doors they had out there was 73.
78.
78 is the number. Yeah, 'Cause
That's an
somebody said-
impressive number.
Yeah.
Eric Black saw one. There was a panel barn door, and Eric Black hit the guy up because the guy had it for sale, and hopefully they strike a deal.
Yeah,
Because he's like, "Oh, I got it sold already for full asking price, but it's all contingent on this guy selling his house." And Eric said, "I can have it for you in 2 weeks if you want." He knew he was going to be there for this week, so he's like, 2 weeks, I'll come back and get this. If he doesn't pull through, I'll get it. So hopefully Eric gets that one. That'd be freaking awesome.
a barn door.
A barn door panel, nice.
Yeah, I said panel. Yeah, I was all in until you said the word panel, and then I was like, oh,
And it's still
yeah.
slick, dude.
I got you, bro. It's just a panel, dude. So I don't want to get into how I feel about panels, bro. One is the loneliest number. But no, barn door's cool, but I'll probably cut windows in it. So that's me. But Octo wrapped up, and then you guys jetted right back after Octo?
Yeah, we went and got some lunch, and we were going to head over to the ISP West open house, but that didn't start till 2. And then we were going to run up to RVA, and we were just like, man, we're going to do all this running around. Like, let's just get on the road. So we took off.
What time did you get home?
I got home at 7:50. I was pulling up to the shop and putting my bus away. So 7:50.
So about 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what time did you leave? You left like 2? It's like 6-hour drive back.
obviously there was traffic on the way
Yeah,
back.
God, you
and
gotta
I
explain
made
it.
2 stops on the way back. So it's funny. I'm talking to Eric Black. He knows his way around California. He said, hey, take the 605 to the 22. You're going to avoid all this malarkey here. I'm like, all right, sounds good. So we're on the 91 and I see the 605 coming up. So I get on the gas and I get in front of Dunkel because he doesn't know about this change we're about to do. And I get on the 605 and they don't follow me. I said, huh, weird. No text, no nothing like, hey, you're going the wrong way, nothing like that. I was like,
You felt abandoned by
all
your
right.
guys.
I said, well, they're on their own journey. So when I get on the 15, I'm about to hit Linwood. The pass was jammed. It was a crawl for about an hour. And then, bam, I'm about to hit Linwood. And then I'm like, where you guys? I text Uncle, where you guys at? Oh, we're here, blah, blah, blah. Where are you stopping? I said, Linwood. I'm 22 miles out or something like that. And by the time I got to pull over for gas, they were still 35 miles away from Linwood. So next time, follow George T.
Yeah, listen, man.
Someone knew the secret way. Thank you, Eric Black.
Yeah, I ended up going over to ISP West. So I was going to go. It was too close to 3 o'clock. It was like 1:30, and I thought by the time I drive all the way over to, and I had to have no, we were just driving the bus at that point. Where's my truck and trailer's back at the hotel because we were staying the next night. So we were driving the double cab, and I thought, well, ISP West is fairly close. We'll cruise by there. I didn't know it started at
2.
at 2 o'clock, right? So I get
What
up
time
there.
did you get there?
1:30. So
Oh,
I get there at
people should've been
1:30. Yeah, right. But I'm like, oh, we'll run by here, run by there, maybe go by the beach, whatever. And then I show up and it's 1:30, and then Megan starts talking to Melanie, which is Critter's girl, and she's like, oh yeah, this starts at 2 o'clock. And then Megan's like, I see a look on her face like, oh my gosh, we're here early. This isn't over. Because I was like, oh man, this thing's already wrapping up. You know, that was my intention my impression when I got there, because I didn't know what time it was going till. And so I get there. Lee Hedges is there. Pedro's there. A bunch of other Type 34 guys. So we all of a sudden have this big Type 34 powwow, and Lee, being the rock star he is, he buys me, my kid, my wife, buys everybody lunch. I'm like, bro, you're not gonna do, but listen, sometimes in the life of a celebrity, man, that's what happens. It's what happens. But no, Lee's a freaking rad dude, man.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
And we just did that podcast with him recently on the early Type 3, and I got a ton of feedback on that. So many people were like, man, I learned so much about Type 3s that I thought I didn't, I thought I knew, or I didn't know was something unique that I need to learn about. So
let's just touch on that podcast real quick.
Sure.
The motor we put in Eric Black's 64 push button square back. He talks about in the thing that 64 is the last year of the heat riser for the single side draft.
Yeah.
That motor has a heat riser single side draft. So I hit up Eric. I said, bro, not only is that a cool motor because it's history and all that stuff. I said, but it's a last year for 64 would be the one heat riser on it, according to this podcast I was just listening to.
Oh, so his square back's a 64?
His square back is 64 push button. It's not considered an early, according to Lee. He says it's 63 to 61 are the earlies because 64 started making changes.
Well, I think 60. I don't think they made him 61. I think they made him 62 square backs.
So 62, 63 would have been, but 64, like Eric has trim, he has side markers, he has all that stuff that makes it what Lee was calling the later one, which is funny because 64 I think is super early square, but not if you're a Type 3 guy apparently.
Yeah. So
yeah, but I thought that was a really cool little bit of information learned from that podcast. So when I told Eric that, like, bro, your motor's actually error correct for your car, which is awesome.
Yeah, and what's great is that motor just sings. You know what I mean? He's
like, bro, it fires up every time. I said, I told you, dude. Them single side drafts are insane.
Yeah.
They just run so well.
Well, and a single car always, I mean, you're not going to get the performance, but it's definitely bulletproof.
The text I'm avoiding from my customers, he's telling me how good his car runs now. It's a little stalker motor. That 67 I did last week for the guy that Fredo Castro is his name online on Instagram. He's a tattoo artist.
And what did you do for him?
New trans mounts, new boots.
Oh, what kind of
car?
car?
Tune the engine, 67 bug. New tarboard, new engine seals on the body of the engine seals. Clean the motor up all the way, put heater hose and all that stuff back on it. It was a little bit of a basket case. We got it all tuned up, and Dean and I got it all good and going.
Yeah, man. I got to drive my little Type 3 yesterday, which we'll kind of talk about
pause
that
real quick. The ISP West thing.
Yeah.
So the ISP West thing, I'm sure Critters was a hit, the panel.
Oh, yeah.
Because that thing was cool.
That car is so rad. Yeah, that car, it's so funny how a car can go from one guy owning it and it being like, Oh yeah.
It was cool, and it was cool in Andy on it too. But the
wasn't-
general put his own stamp on it.
It
The
wasn't.
general did a little
It was not
coolness
as
to
cool as it is right now.
Oh,
bro.
for sure.
It
For
got a
sure.
lot of stank on its hangs low right now,
Yeah.
and before it was just kind of like,
It was a super cool rare.
it was. It was not an attention grabber. It was so plain and basic.
But for Type 3 guys, like
Right,
I always, when I saw it, I would
yeah,
always
you had
check
to
it
be
out.
like super like ooh But me, I was like meh, because I'm a custom dude. I like custom stuff. You know what I mean? So
No, Justin did a great
when
job.
I saw
on that.
what Justin did with that thing, man, it was he did what the general does, dude. And the general of the Type 3 Army just stepped up and freaking laid it out. He got those gangster wheels on there. Those are early Porsche style replica, the 5 spokes. And then he did
whole new motor.
he put the motor that was in his late model Brazilian squareback in that thing, and then he did a bunch of stuff. Put that steering wheel in there. He did a bunch of little stuff to kind of dial that thing in and make it look more, kind of have it a little more custom. So I really
Yeah,
did
it's
that.
got a little
thing.
more attitude now, which is cool.
And he's got it has two fixed windows where there should be panel windows, and he's got the panel to close those windows off. And I thought I would leave those 2 windows and just leave the back paneled out, because I think that thing looks super cool like that.
It obviously came that way.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't think they took 2 panels out to put glass in, huh?
Yeah.
I don't think they would have done
No,
that.
it didn't. Someone did. Someone took. There's just a metal panel that goes in there and gets pulled in by a piece of rubber. So, yeah, there was the ISPS open house was rad. Like I said, a bunch of guys there that I knew, and then the cars there were super cool. I made a little video on it, so if you guys go check out my YouTube channel, there's a video with some of the cars that were there while I was there. When I just shot a quick little 5-minute video, but it's pretty cool. It shows a good cross section. And my dog Tristan, bro, Tristan, I did not mean to cut you out of the video. You were just parked where I may be parked in your spot. You know, Tristan with the blue notch.
I know Tristan.
Yeah.
Tristan
So
Bellissimo.
yeah.
Yep.
Bellissimo. He shot out to my dog out there, and he had the. I didn't get his in the video, and I felt really bad when I was done. I was like, and I thought, no, I shouldn't feel bad. What I should have done was I was going to grab a picture of his car from one crazy weekend and just have it be a one picture of his car at night, put in there. Oh yeah, and Tristan was there, and then I was like, let me just get done editing this video. So
Tristan's
next time,
good people. I don't think it's gonna be butthurt.
next
bro.
time next time I do it, I won't forget you, Tristan. But I didn't forget you, bro. I didn't forget you. I'm always happy to see you. And then as I was leaving, Lionel was rolling in the square. So. Yeah, I was just on the move, bro. That's what I do. I was on the move, and the wife was giving me the look like it is time to go. And I think I rolled out of there about 4:00. So she was quite ready to leave. And what the other thing was, besides the time, it was like there was food there, and my wife is unlike me, the garbage can of food. My wife is very particular on what she eats. She's very disciplined, and so she's she's like a food OCD food maniac. So when I was like, "Oh, you want some barbecue, girl? You want some barbecue? I know you."
Do you want some hot dogs and hamburgers? And
Excuse me, fitness girl. I know you into barbecue and stuff because I like it. It's delicious. And then she just gives me that look like, this was not on my menu for today, but I will eat it and be nice. So she got the grilled chicken, no barbecue or barbecue on the side. And I thought life's too boring for that. I said, take whatever you're going to give me and just dunk it in barbecue. And what's interesting is the guy that was cooking the food there was a nephew of all the Volkmann Strassi guys. You remember the Volkmann Strassi's, the dudes, I think they were out of Compton, and they all had deep dish wheels on the back of their bugs back in the early days of the VW Classic.
doesn't ring a bell.
Really, bro?
Yeah.
Maybe you just weren't. Maybe you're just not around, bro. Maybe you just weren't around the early days, dude. That's what I'm thinking, dude. You just weren't around.
Maybe I wasn't, dude.
You weren't around. I was there, dude. You weren't there, dude. Maybe the real guy's got an issue with timelines is you. Look at George trying to look down his nose, look at his phone. Oh, all of a sudden you're on your phone, huh, George? That's interesting.
I'm texting my wife to let her know that I'm here doing a podcast.
Listen, we're cranking it out for the people. So ISP West was cool. Shout out to all those guys that do all that hard work out there to get that little thing going. And I really wish I would have had my. Yeah, that's the problem, right? When you got a Type 2, a Type 3, and there's all those things going on, you want to bring one of everything there. So I wish I had Future Shock, because Future Shock is Pimp of the Year, and everybody likes how it looks.
Didn't you have it there last year?
I did, yeah. I had
And
it was 2 years ago.
What kind of response did it get?
It was pretty cool. Everybody's like, oh, well, there's two responses. There's the people that are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's here. And then they were like, I don't understand it. And I'm like, you're not from 87. Yeah. So just pump the brakes, son. But people can appreciate a lot of the stuff that's done to it. But, later while I was down there this last week, there's Fred Norbert was in town from Belgium, and he had a raspberry bug, and he's really big into raspberry stuff. And he hit me up and he's like, I want to come to Vegas and see Future Shock. And I said, well, I'm leaving town this Saturday, so I'm going to be here from this day to this day. And he's like, okay, I'll come on Tuesday and come see Future Shock. And so he comes over, and I'm like, I'll pull Future Shock out for him. And then like there was some little translation. He said, what time are you going to be home? I said, probably afternoon. He goes, okay. And then I went to text him like, I got home early from work. And then I said, I'm going to start shuffling stuff out of the garage. So I shoot him a text like, hey, I'm at the house. Let me know when you want to come by. And then I like change, put some shorts on, go out to start moving cars around. I look at the door and he's out front. I'm like, well, that was quick, but he hadn't even received my text yet because he's just on the thing. But it just worked out. So then he had to witness the whole shuffle of every car, which turned into like a whole thing. And then I get Future Shock out, and I had been charging the battery. It sat on a battery charger for like a week, and then
I don't think that's how it works.
No. It sat on a battery charger for like a week. Like at least 2 or 3 weeks it was sitting on a trickle charger out there. And then I moved the trickle charger to something else. And I don't know if I left a button on or what happened, but
Future Shock didn't shock anybody. Yeah?
No, Future Shock was not giving the zap to nobody. And so I pushed it out, and she's not in all her glory. Her back seat's out, and she ain't the prettiest when you're looking at the wiring. You know what I mean? It's like seeing the makeup off the girl. And so I got Fred there, and I'm feeling this obligation, like, bro, this dude has got to ride in this car, dude. He's all the way from Frazance. Well, I'm sorry, Belgium. He's all the way from Belgium. And so Andrew happens to stop in. I mess with the wiring a little bit, like, why? I mean, I'm not even getting ignition lights now. We'll come to find out there's a little fuse block in the back, and there was a screw terminal on it that got loose. And so, like, we're kind of messing with everything, jiggling stuff. Boom, tighten that up. Everything works. Before that, I hotwire the car. Like I hotwire the car, jump the coil from the...
Hang on, is this the same hot wire from One Crazy Weekend last year?
Well, no, I had to make a new wire because I don't know what I had with the old wire. But yeah, I made
same problem hasn't been corrected.
No. It's corrected now.
Oh, okay.
Now, so before I got it fixed, I hotwired it because I'm like, bro, I'm taking this dude for a drive, dude. He's get to live his dream and drive in this car. So I start the car up, I drive around the block, and then I get back here, and I'm going to pull in the driveway, and then I got the seat out, we're jiggling stuff, and I find the loose wire, we tighten that up, and now all of a sudden ignition lights come on, everything's working.
Yeah.
I test the coil wire's working, everything, so I disconnect all, because I had made it semi-permanent.
Your flim flam.
I had made, let me tell you right now, George, you've been proud of me, because I made the hot wiring, I made the rigging semi-permanent, dude. Like I put a kind of a connector on the end, and then a few other things, but I do have one issue. You know, the dumbest thing I had, what happened, is the terminal that's on top of the alternator. I take it off. I put a ring on there. I put a wire on there and jump it to the coil. But like I'm doing it all professional with like an eyelet on there. And I got to put the nut on there, and it's like stripped out or won't thread on. And I'm losing my mind, man. I'm like so annoyed because I just pulled it off. Now it's not going back on. And I think I did get it on because I pulled a 10 millimeter off of some old linkage. Well, it was I'm sorry, it's an 8 millimeter. It was an 8 millimeter that I pulled off of, which would be a 6 millimeter stud, right?
It'd be a 5.
M5. Well, it's an M5, dude. So anyway, I got that working. So now, actually, Future Shock right now
runs.
Go in the garage, turn the key, run. Like it actually,
as it should.
It actually started with the key because it's got a bypass jumper on the back, but it's got a key that used to never work. And then I looked at had a big 30 amp fuse, but it was kind of melted, right? And I was like, what is this? And well, it had to be from that loose connection that created a bunch of heat because it wasn't getting a good connection. So luckily enough, Fred Norbert coming from Belgium kind of forced my hand to get Future Shock up and running. So now, boom, she's on the road, dude. She's ready to rizzle.
Yeah.
The only thing I got to do, any of you guys know, and you want to text me on Instagram or Facebook or however you want to get at me, send me an email at Let's Talk Dubs. How in the freaking world do you pull a lower back seat out of a Type 3 without ripping everything apart? Because, geez Louise, man, that lower seat that comes out is like, I don't know what kind of origami I got to do. I can't remember how I got in there, but also the problem is like the fabric is like the Shroud of Turin, dude. It's like that cloth Jesus was buried in, and so it's like because it's old velour, like real old, and it's and actually the looping they did on a set of hog rings is like like a dental floss. I don't know what it is, but it's super. I don't know if it's just eroded from all that time. And I actually reached out to Steve Connect. I'm like, hey, bro. And he'd answer his phone. Then he calls me later. He's like, hey, what's going on, Bill? I missed your call. I'm like, oh, yeah, I was just curious. I mean, it's a little while ago, but I don't know if you remember how to put that back seat in that car. I mean, he hasn't owned the car in 25 years. I don't know if you remember how to put the back seat. He's like, yeah, I don't really remember. I think you got to take the side panels off. And I'm like, dude, it's freaking.
Sounds like a lot of work.
And you notch guys, let me know how that back seat comes out in the notchback, because the lower seat in the notchback comes right out. It doesn't hinge forward. It comes out. And
I mean, even bug seats are difficult to get in and out.
And I don't know because Future Shock's got kind of a curve to the top of it, and I don't know if it was modified because of how it was made into a roadster. I don't know. I don't know all the deals, but went for a cruise in that. Took some pictures with the car. He was super stoked. And then I brought him over to your shop, and so we just kind of gave him the typical 1-2 Vegas thing. So that we've had a lot of people that come to town to visit that we've done. But other stuff that's been happening with me, man, is I got the interior done in the Beetle Barn bus, which then has now made me sit here over and over thinking to myself, like, man, I really, really would like to finish the outside, but I'm going to hold off on any of that. I'm conflicted. I'm back and forth on it. And there's a product, and I should look it up. There's a product that you're supposed to that you can use to preserve patina.
Poppy's patina.
Maybe that's it, bro.
It's like a sponge on.
And look at this guy, bro. He takes me right to Poppy's patinas, bro.
They have a satin and they have a gloss.
Wipe on clear coat for sale. So
yeah.
And I don't know what I mean. Is it's
you most likely would need two to three kits for your bus, I would think.
Yeah, and I don't know what the deal is, but
they got a lot of YouTube videos. You can check it out. It basically, like they say, you wipe it on, and it's like Pour 15, where it has that self-leveling effect.
And let me see. Oh crap, bro! That's $214 for
each kit.
Land Shark wipe on matte kit. So what should see? Because when I'm looking at the bus,
I would go with matte, but what it's going to do is richen the colors of everything.
It's going to enhance it.
Yes, it's just going to richen up.
Yeah,
the colors.
But wouldn't WD-40 do the same thing?
Yeah, but WD-40 will eventually. It's a solvent. It'll start deteriorating and ruining it.
I think it's WD-40.
Like I WD-40 my roof on my bus because it's bare metal in a bunch of spots.
Right.
But I would never do it on top of paint. Mine is garbage. On yours, you need to do something that's going to keep it alive. They have oils and stuff you can put on it. There's other products that people use, like linseed oil or something like that. I've seen another guy doing it. That he said he used to do that on his, and then he ended up just Poppy's patina in it.
Yeah.
Because the Poppy's patina is permanent. You don't have to sit there and keep doing it.
That's kind of what I want to do. And it's like, where do you start? Where do you stop to preserve?
Were you complaining just now about spending $600 for 3 kits to do that? What would a paint job cost?
Yeah, but a paint job, I would feel more gratification.
Would you?
Yeah, if I got it painted.
I don't think so.
So that's the other thing, right? So I asked Justin to reach out to his dad, because his dad, unfortunately, has Alzheimer's, and his long-term memory is real good. And I said, hey, do me a favor, reach out to your dad and see if he remembers if he painted that bus a factory color from another car, like diamond blue metallic or something, right? Like, let me see. But that's what.
So did he get back to you?
No, I just sent him that message today, so hopefully he gets back to me. Because now that I did the interior, and I originally was going to do, so the seats are like a machine turned vinyl. So it looks like a basket from a distance, but it looks, when you look at the pattern up close, it looks like a machine turn design. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of cool because the interior, I wanted to get kind of a 70s vibe from it. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and then I had a matching like a shark skin blue on the sides of the.
It's clean looking.
Vinyl.
It matches the electric blue.
But then
exterior.
it wasn't. They didn't have it, so that's why I went with the dark blue that's in the headliner. That's why I went with the dark blue in the lower half of the seats with a dark blue, a light blue, and then like a pearl white insert on the door panels. Mm-hmm. But now the problem is all of the mango on the inside of the bus that shows through. Mm-hmm. You're just seeing blue mango stripe, and I'm almost thinking I want to get some blue paint. Like if he could tell me what that paint.
Some blue Krylon that matches it probably and hit those.
Right. Yeah. I just want to kind of clean it up and just make it look a little less noticeable. But it's also kind of thing like, where do you start and where do you stop? Because that's how it was painted back then. It was just an exterior paint job. It wasn't all through. It was just really
That's
more.
what I was saying. We could always go back and just satin black those areas so they just blend and kind of disappear. The thing is, you're not going to get rid of the Mango Dash.
Yeah.
You would have to paint your Mango Dash.
Well, no, and that's what I would do. I would mask the inside of the car and paint that dash. I would scuff and paint that dash just to get the dash, the column, all that stuff, that blue, if I knew what blue it was.
Yeah.
That's a project I can do. Like, I can mask it off. Don't give me the side eye, George.
I gave you side eye directly.
That's exactly
directly towards you.
That is exactly.
I can do that.
That is.
Can you?
Up my well. Look, if I run out of a can, that's going to be the reason why it's not quite finished. Look, I'm all about rattle can, dude.
That's what I was saying to you. So when I was working on James Pulley's bus years ago, we put pop outs in all the windows, and originally they were stationaries.
Right.
And when we cut the stationaries, the painter was so good they didn't take the windows out. That's how good they were. Mm-hmm. So they were a different color inside the holes. And I got a Krylon that matched his paint close and just taped it off and painted the inside of the squares. If you really stared at it, you could tell, but I mean, you can get away with it. With the areas you're looking to do, they're just small areas like gaps in between the doors. I think you could completely get away with it.
Yeah.
But I would definitely not paint the exterior. That the history is what you're looking at there.
I know. And so what I was looking at, if you guys on my Instagram, I went to post some stuff with respect to the pinstriping. So the pinstriping was done by Bob Spina, and it's little tiny micro writing across the top of the rear hatch. There's pinstriping all on the windows, the
when
taillights.
You think it's small, it's even smaller than what you think it is.
Yeah.
The text is as tall as a one line of a brush.
Correct.
If that makes sense to you.
Yep.
If you're familiar with pinstriping, that's how tall the text is. I mean, if you didn't stare at it, you would never even notice it was there. It's insane looking.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, man, how do you preserve all this, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem, right? I want the car. I'm just a shiny car dude, and I think that bus.
This ain't a shiny car. Come on.
I think that it can't, but I think you could restore that bus back to the way it was designed to be built, and it's just as good if you left it all preserved. But the challenge that I wrestle with, and you guys can give me your opinion in on Instagram when I make a little post about it, because what really is holding me back is the lettering on the side, which could be redone. It could be so I could trace it.
Totally.
Someone could redo it, and the pinstriping that's done by Bob Spina. What I want to do, because I'm going to make a small video on the history of the Beetle Barn bus. I actually want to drive the bus over to see Bob Spina and just see if and record him talking about the experience with him.
If he remembers
pinstriping that car. Yeah.
He's got to be in his 80s too right now. He's an old dude. Last time I saw him, he was an old guy.
Yeah.
I went there with Joey Westcott. Like Joey Westcott took me there and introduced me to him.
Yeah.
So that's how I know where his shop is at.
Yeah. So I just want to get that going. So I may do some Poppy's patina. I'm going to check it out. I'll look at kind of what it does for it. But if it richens up that electric blue paint, I would be happy with like spraying the dash and all that stuff a blue to match, So yeah. I just think that would look cool. But it is what it is. It's a bus that was built in 1968.
Leaving it as it is more of a tribute to Warren Stevens and Bob Spina than if you were to redo it.
Yeah.
To me, you're preserving a piece of history.
Right now. So what's happening with that? And I think the cool part, right, is we're going to lower it a little bit now that we've been to Moab, and it's no need to do anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put a standard drop on it, like a 4-inch drop. And I've got those big 5-spoke wheels, which I may take down to the raw finish instead of the black that they are now. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll give it a full on, like a 60s kind of gasser support team vehicle for a drag bug. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of the vibe I'm going with. And we did, well, today I was supposed to get my supercharger. I haven't got my supercharger from, I went ahead and ordered a supercharger from,
yeah, we'll be making a video on that one for sure. The install and everything on that.
Compressor House. So if any of you guys look at anything from Compressor House, and I'm sure after you see the video, you'll probably order one. I'm actually going to order a draggy. So when we're going to do
what's a draggy?
A draggy, something you mount in the car, and it gives you like drag racing, quarter mile time, 0 to 60, all that stuff.
Okay.
So to mount it in the car, we're going to do a pre-test. Yeah,
we're right there on Mesquite. We can do it right in front of the shop.
Just do a run up and down, and then we're going to do after. And I think what would be interesting is I don't know if the draggy gives you braking and all that data, but
I'm sure it would say G's.
I've already got the trans for the bus, a Freeway Flyer trans with Type 3 brakes on the back, and then I've got the front beam coming for it, narrowed 4-inch beam, and I just have to do a disc brake set for the front.
Yeah, do it like an AC Industries or just a MP kit for the front. I wouldn't get too crazy with it.
No, I don't need to. And so
I would definitely put rear discs on it, though. We had this discussion, like, do you already have the Type 3 stuff for the back?
Yeah, it came off the Type 34.
Yeah.
So repurpose, recycle, bro. I'm environmental. Why? I'm a pro environment, dude. That's what I do. Or maybe a little bit cheap.
It's just disc brakes, dude. I mean, it's just so silly.
Yeah, well.
No maintenance.
Well,
easy going.
We'll see, dude. We'll see. So that's what's happened with that. And then while I was down there in California, I picked up the MPC stripe kit from my boy Randy, and Randy's been on the podcast. Used to own Der Speed Shack, and I picked up a gold MPC stripe kit. So I got plans for that. Maybe the Mach 11's hitting the ground. It's going to hit the tarmac, and it's going to get the.
I'm against this, by the way, guys. I say leave it a Baja.
That's fine, bro. It's not a Baja. So the problem is, it looks cool. It drives like pure crap, dude. Like it feels.
You haven't done anything. The ball joints need replacing.
No, it's not about the ball joints, bro. It looks cool in those tires, and those tires are the world's worst tires. They're like bias ply. These freaking Baja tires. They're for the dirt only, dude. And it's not fun to drive. And what am I gonna do with that thing? I can't fit air cleaners in the back, so I'm never gonna take it off road. So what's the point?
Sure, you can. You got to get them ones that like they angle inward. They're a bunch of little separate K&Ns that go on them. I'm not a fan of them either. I wouldn't put them on my car, but
so. Well, I appreciate you suggesting them for me.
Or I'm sure they make some sort of bolt-on for
I get the little, but you can't take it off road. The amount of dust you get in off road, like you need outerwear, you need all kinds of. You can't just put a little can on there. That ain't gonna work, bro. I'm not going to take the position of authority in a few things, but this I will. And so it just be clean on the street. And then I'm going to do an MP tribute out of that car since I am getting another MP bug. I've got enough MP stuff here just to do an MP tribute, and I think it's going to be rad. I'm going to do kind of a 70s throwback with that thing. Two-tone the interior and gold wheels, gold stripe kit on there. And I assure you guys this, the next time you see that bug, you will remember that bug. You won't be like, oh, which bug? You'll remember it. You'll be like, oh, dang. But so I'm excited to, like, my gears have been turning. I ordered the drop spindles for it. And so I'm just going to drop spindle the front. And I don't know.
I got to look at your front brakes on that because Eric was calling me about that. He's like, he wants brakes, but I don't know what he has.
I already talked to him. I have a brand. When I had the limo bug, see, this is what you understand, George. If investments are constantly made, dude. When I had the limo bug, I ordered an entire front disc brake kit. I ordered all the disc brake stuff to convert it to disc brakes from Justin or from Marie at Nevada Off Road.
Yeah, but does that mean you bought a drum bolt-on kit?
Let me finish what I'm saying. I bought all the factory disc brake stuff to convert the front of the limo bug to disc brakes, and then I sold the bug. So I had it all sitting at Justin's shop, calipers, rotors, I think ball joints, everything. I've got everything sitting there now it's sitting in my office on the floor in a box, and I forgot that I bought it. And so I also have an extra set of 4-lug, the ones that I pulled off my 67 that are sitting in here. So the 4-lug stock brakes. So I'm putting stock front brakes on it. I got to change the back to 4-lug, 4-lug brakes on the back, and do the 205/70s in the back, 145, 165, 45. Is that what they are?
145/65 or 155/60/15s.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a set of those tires on there. I'm gonna take the Kleeblats that I have. I'm gonna have them powder coated gold to match a C-stripe kit, and then I got to figure out. And you guys let me know what color interior you think would go good with gold. I was thinking like a navy blue, and then I started thinking maybe a red interior on it because I'm gonna redo the interior. The interior guy's wanting it this week if he can get it, but I can't rush into it unless I have something picked out. So, but that's what's going on with that project. And then Bull Run bus. What's the update on the Bull Run bus? Just waiting on the steering column.
Yeah, we're redoing the steering column after I did the steering column. Just the steering shaft, not the column. The column stays the same, new shaft going in. Pump is mounted. Rear is hooked up to the pump. The front line is run in place. I just need to punch it through the body and connect it to the pump, and then connect the wiring, make a loom for the front to back that we already have in there and connect it. So that I was hoping to have that thing operational, but we've just been so dang busy. And it's just me and Dean right now doing all that work. So,
and then you got other projects you got that you're kicking out of the shop, just working on getting some stuff finalized to get all finished.
Yeah.
And then as far as other shows you plan on going to, George?
I'm not going to do Prado Black Star this weekend. We were just in California last weekend for Octo, and I just can't take that many Fridays off. And I'm probably not going to do the bugging either, just because, once again, it's just too soon, and I already took 2 days off and 2 days off the week before that for Moab and everything else. So,
well,
I don't know what
bugging's
the heck
on
we're going to.
bugging's on Sunday. Well, you can ride with me and Johnny because
What show are you guys going to?
me and Johnny are going to Medford, Oregon.
Oh, for a Fast 4 thing?
No longer the Fast
Yeah,
Forward.
it's whatever it's
It
called.
is the Volks Group, and the Volks Group is going to be in Medford, Oregon, July 1st and 2nd. So I think you guys ought to check it out. If you've never been to one of these events, they're completely legit. I was on the phone with Johnny today because he was on the phone with the guys from Volks Group. They had a whole thing online last night chatting, and I talked to the wife, and I got a halfway okay from her because our anniversary is the 3rd and her birthday is the 4th. So I already talked to Johnny, and Johnny's like, bro, if you got to get back, if we tow up there, because I told Johnny, I said, you get to Vegas, and then I'll put your car with my drag bug, and we'll put them both in the trailer, and we'll haul them out there to
Stop with yours, dude.
with the Medford. We're going to haul it out there for the Medford thing to go out there, and then I can fly back. But I think I'll just end up we'll get there. My vision right now is we'll leave. He'll leave Thursday. He'll get here. I'll leave 4 a.m. on Friday for here. It's a 12-hour ride. So we should be able to get to Medford by 4 or 5 o'clock. And it's about it's a 12-hour drive. We'll get there, and he may be able to do a couple test hits, and then Saturday is a test day, so he can test. But I think it would be rad just to bring Johnny out there, and just go out there, because it was just such a great time last time to go out there.
We had a great time.
And I haven't been to the Medford track, and the Medford track's pretty cool.
So I wonder, is it the same group of people?
It's the same, same group of people. It's all the same. It's the same people.
So the Kenny Kitchen will be there. The same groups, all the Bergs, everybody there having a good old time.
Yeah, because I was talking to Doug. I was talking to
Mike.
Yep.
George.
I think Limnios should be there. George.
Preston.
I don't know. I don't know if George is going to be
McCallick.
there. I don't know because
Regardless if he's there, his car ain't racing, so nobody
well,
cares. Really.
right. And I don't know if he's
We just want
down.
George for his company.
I just don't know if he's down, bro. I mean, these Argentinians, bro. You know how they
Can't
are.
trust
so
him.
I'm hoping he shows up, bro. I'm hoping he's down, but I mean, I may have to roll through Sacktown, pick him up, and drag him up there. But he better get his. If I'm driving all the way up there, if I'm driving 12 hours, he can drive 4. You know
Where's
what I mean?
Medford?
Medford's in Oregon. It's at the line of California and Oregon. It's a 12-hour drive, bro. But it would be legit to bring Johnny out there,
12 on probably a car.
bro. Look,
Talking a
dude.
double trailer.
We move, dude. Dodge Ram. Get out
Bring
the
the
way.
one car. Just bring Johnny's. Yours is trash. It needs to be completely gone through before it ever hits a track.
No.
Yeah.
No. We'll check it out.
You got to put time in. You wanted to run it. You got to put time in, dude. You got to put time and effort into
I
it.
got it, bro. So we'll see. I'll figure out. We'll figure it out. But
And that's the first weekend in July.
that is the very first week in July.
3 weeks from now.
It's July 1st and 2nd. So that's my plan, is to go up there. This, you guys heard it first here on Let's Talk Dubs. So the plan is, because the other Volks Group event they have is October 6th and 7th. So unfortunately, we won't be able to make it to that one.
Nope.
I want to support those guys, even though they make it as far as possible for me. But I want to support them because these guys are just down to race. It's like the whole group is a no drama group.
Yeah.
There's no drama over there. It's just nothing but a good time. Everybody's chilling and having fun.
Definitely one of the funnest shows I've ever been to.
And maybe I'm gonna sit.
Not show, but drag thing.
Maybe I'm gonna sit John Sugar down and get his interview. John
Shut
Sugar and get a couple other people that I've been meeting with last time I was up there. So
Yeah.
hammer down some interviews. Maybe get Pat Downs back on. He's been wanting to come back on. So we'll do a sit down with Pat Downs. I mean, there's a lot of reasons I need to go, but it would just be rad to bring Johnny out there and actually have Johnny out there on the track. So it'd just be fun. Just be fun to do that, supporting the Southwest, us desert rats going up
Did
there.
he get his motor on and everything back together?
Yep. I was on the phone with Johnny today. So he just was like, dude, you let me know we're going to be there. So right now, I'm just, as everybody hears us, they're going to know we're going. So no backing out now, bro. So come tires on the trailer, whatever it takes. I mean, now all the tires on the trailer are brand new. So from the last
Sure.
trip,
No
yeah,
one
I'm
that's
sure. Bro.
like-
Well, there might be one, bro, but I'm willing to take the gamble, dude. So, but yeah, we got that, all that stuff. Volks Group. Anything else you got going on, George? I can talk about. I did shoot a letter to my boy Dino Don Chamberlain because I've been talking to him for a while, trying to get him on, and he sent me back an email. He says, "Hey man, I'm super excited. I do want to come on the podcast. I do want to do, an episode with you, and so we're just gonna get it timed out to where it's gonna work out for him and for me. Upcoming podcasts, I've got George Otto. I've got
Why is that name so familiar? George Otto.
so George Otto is he's a publisher, a book writer. He's DFL, which is like a Cowlook German club. And so you've seen him. He's got a Type 34 Gia that was on the, I think it's sitting on, if I'm not mistaken, it's sitting on gas burners, white one. And he's been in the VW scene for a long time, and publisher of magazines and stuff like that. So you'll know George Otto when you hear him from the podcast. So he's going to be coming up. Richie King's podcast is still coming up. Ron Rosevere's podcast still coming up. And there's one.
When you say still coming up, these are recorded.
These are already recorded. Richie King's. I got to get his audio kind of tuned in because I had a little bit of issue with.
That's one of the UK ones.
Yeah, with the recording. So Richie King's still going to be coming out. I just got to get the audio dialed in. And there's one other one. Oh, Lyndon Creamer. So Lyndon Creamer's coming on. The guy who built FUBAR. So if you haven't seen FUBAR, look up FUBAR or Lyndon Creamer on Instagram and.
Custom Creams on Instagram.
Custom Creams on Instagram. He's got a freaking. It's a dope ride. So
he is ridiculous with attention to detail. That dude's a nut job, but in a good way, in a great way.
Yeah, he's so you get to hear a lot about the process of the 64 because it's more than just the like a typical show car. There's a long history he's got with that car, changing hands, buyers. It's a good story. I mean, like all the podcasts are good stories. So another person I ran into, I hit up Ed Craig, who ran, I want to say maybe the Buena Park store for Auto House. Been in the scene for a long, long time. Probably a generation younger than all the upper guys, all Lays and all those guys. He's about 10 years younger than those guys. So he was like the younger guy hanging around with those guys. Talked to him. We talked about doing a podcast. So it's going to be good stuff. I got a lot of good content coming up. So that's going to be rad. I did want to do a shout out for a couple of people that picked up some merch. And the first guy is John Farrell, and he's from Halfway, Missouri. Picked up some merch, supported the podcast, and also Ken Tuomi, and he is out of Seattle, Washington. So I appreciate those guys for supporting the podcast. And if you guys want to support the podcast, go to letstalkdubs.com and pick up some merch to support the podcast. I do have some new shirts that are available, so you can check them out. There's new Let's Talk Dubs, which is kind of like a postcard, old vintage postcard logo. And then I have also a new script logo on a lot of people complain that I got just black stuff, black shirts and all that stuff. So I did that ash colored shirt with that chrome script logo. So that one's available too. And I did put some of the show shirts on there, the One Crazy Weekend show shirts. But there's no date, there's none of that stuff. But those shirts were drawn by Steve Nazar, as well as they're cool. It's a VW shirt. It's got Vegas on it. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. So there's a lot of stuff like that's available that you guys can check out. Also, if you guys haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast I did about my prison experience, that you can search. If you just search Arrested in Mexico 58.
Don't search Arrested in Mexico. You got to give them the specifics because that's what I look for. That's why I had to call you.
It's the first one that comes up. If you take your phone right now and you search Arrested in Mexico podcast, just go to Google and search Arrested in Mexico podcast. I went to
Apple, iTunes.
Go to Apple. It's the only one called Arrested in Mexico. So if you go to Apple Podcast and you search Arrested in Mexico, the Arrested in Mexico podcast comes out. Matter of fact, if we're friends on Facebook and you guys see my Facebook post, somebody sent one of the guys in the Volkswagen Club sent me a link for a small documentary they did on a prison in Tijuana, and it's exactly the same as that prison. When I watched it, it felt like I was back there, so it was a wild trip just to watch that 10-minute documentary because it was like I was back there again. But guess what? I'm in the free old USA, and we're here kicking it. Volkswagens.
You should post that video up so people get an idea of it.
I did. I shared it on my Facebook page. So
and I listened to all 7 episodes of that podcast. Yeah. And it's really good. If anybody here is interested in the story, go check it out.
Yeah.
It's an excellent,
Ryan Connect does a phenomenal job editing that audio.
Yeah, it's got sound in it.
He scores the music. He writes all that music's original music he's written, all the scores, all the, when I'm talking about, they keep playing this Mexican music, whatever. And so he puts like this Mexican music that's muffled in the background. Like this guy is an audio artist, man. So go check him out. Ryan Connect who's Steve Connect's son. So it all connects back
all
to
connected.
Volkswagens, right? Let's see. Ryan Connect's band is, I'll get you the name of his band here in just 2 seconds.
So non-biased opinion on that podcast. Bill is my brother, but it's a very well done podcast. And there was a few times in it when I got emotional, and I'm sure it's because obviously Megan is my sister-in-law and Ronnie's my niece and stuff like that. But when the family members are talking about their experience, it's very moving, very touching. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so go give Ryan Connect a follow. Ryan, Knecht. He's Steve Connect's son, but he does just a phenomenal job of producing music and audio stuff and soundtracks. So if you guys are working on anything, you need some work done, reach out to Ryan because he just does
Audio work. Yeah.
He does such great work. So if you're doing a podcast, a movie, you need background stuff like that. He just does. I can't express what a good job. He's a phenomenal guitarist, and
it adds another layer to the story. It makes you feel more immersed in it. That's the good thing about it. It like immerses you in the story more. That's the best way to describe it.
And he has a band on Spotify that you guys can check out called The World Over. They're a super rad band. I mean, they're like really, the music industry is tough today, but they're actually a good band. It's not like something I tell you listen to and I'm like, I wouldn't listen to it. Like, it's pretty cool. It's good sounding music. So,
but Arrested in Mexico, check it out.
Yeah, so check out the podcast. And then what else we got? We got One Crazy Weekend coming up. There's a lot of people.
October 6th and 7th.
October 6th and 7th. A lot of people pre-registering for One Crazy Weekend. So make sure you guys get out there, pre-register right now for One Crazy Weekend. Reserve. I cannot express this enough. Reserve your rooms now.
No last minute calling.
I just talked to somebody that they said, oh yeah, I'm coming for One Crazy Weekend, but I'm also coming because there's some college game happening here. I warn you guys now, if you do not book your rooms and you think, oh, I'm going to stay somewhere else because there's games here, because we've got the Raider Stadium here, because we've got all this stuff now, when there's big games here, the room rates go through the roof. So book
We
your
get California pricing.
all of a sudden get California pricing. Book your rooms now because that would be something.
And
that
you
would
want to
be,
stay at the host hotel, because there's nothing better because then you can just walk away from your car and go upstairs.
Yeah.
If you got to go drive somewhere else, I tell you what, that next place you're going to isn't having security watch your car all night.
Yeah, the Orleans is the spot to stay at. So you guys need to make sure that you get your rooms booked at the Orleans.
We're going to put together a video. Bill and I are going to put together a video that you're going to see on probably both of our channels. We're going to stop by our poker run stops and just show you what to expect. We'll edit in some previous years' footage of what the strip cruise is like and whatnot, just so you get a feel for what the show is, just to help promote it a little bit.
You might have some snippets of me breakdance and stuff like
Maybe.
that. You never know, bro. So,
Or being a Adidas suit involved somewhere.
bro, I'll be getting down on it. So, what else, George T? Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah. I will
Check out my YouTube channel, The Wagon, WAGEN.
Yeah, check out George's YouTube channel. And then I think I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. We talked about upcoming events. We talked about the shows coming up, and I think that's it. Oh shoot! Let's back it up a second. I had a bunch of stuff printed that I didn't have, which I'm gonna have to do on the next one. I have a bunch of some listener feedback. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But a bunch of letters and stuff from people that have been listening to Let's Talk Dubs. Matter of fact, I could probably rip through it here on my iPad, George, if you want to, jump in here, give a little bit of so just your time. This is when you jump in, like, I'm going to fill this up right quick. Well, yeah, I see. I used to know with your freaking arms folded, bro. A lot of help you are, dude.
We just shut it down and you fired it right back up.
No, bro, we're not shutting it down.
Looking for information right now.
No, bro, I'm telling people what's going down. Let's see. Don't scratch your
So
beard
with
in the
the
microphone.
One Crazy Weekend, things to expect. Friday night we do a strip cruise. That's tentative right now because we are having F1 a couple weeks after our show here, and they have a ton of construction going on the strip. So if
It doesn't matter. We're cruising anywhere. We're just going to figure out what section we're going to cruise.
we will be cruising the strip. We're just going to have to probably pick and choose the area we're going to go to due to extensive. The strip is literally torn down to almost 2 lanes now, and that's it. Obviously, we're going to be doing Saturday morning. Will be a top 20 car show. Pre-register for that on letstalkdubs.com. And Saturday evening is the world famous poker run. And I can tell you this right now, from the people that experience it and go through it, that is the weekend maker right there. So make sure you come out for this weekend. It's more than just a car show. It's a driving experience in your Volkswagen, something you really don't get to experience at car shows, because you show up, you park your car, you sit and you jibber jabber with everybody, and then you take off. But this is much more involved. And I can tell you right now, if you talk to the people like Tristan, Lionel, and Sean Berry, and all these guys like Todd Getty, all these dudes that have been coming since year one, it is an event worth coming out for.
Yeah.
So make sure you and your friends all come out and support One Crazy Weekend, October 6th and 7th, 2023 at the Orleans Hotel and Casino, hosted by Let's Talk Dubs in the Wagon, sponsored by
Finley
SoCal
Volkswagen.
Speed Shop, Finley Volkswagen, Nevada Off-Road Buggy,
And Sunkist Graphics.
and Sunkist Graphics.
Ross Wolf also.
And Ross Wolf.
Now, so I got a couple listener emails, and some of the listener emails I wanted to read were Martin Smith says, "Hey, Bill, I found your podcast, and I've binged on many of the older episodes. I have a 69 Beetle that you inspire me to regularly repair, but then I listened to your Arrested in Mexico podcast. Very thankful you're back with your family. My heart is heavy for those that remain in prison and disappointment, anger at corruption. Your podcast is valuable because it puts real people and your relationships to the face of the suffering that goes on in our world. Looking forward to the next episodes of Let's Talk Dubs and Arrested in Mexico." And that was from Martin Smith. I also have Eric Reed says, "I was wondering if you have ever talked to Jim at Interstate VW about being on your podcast. He has a huge wrecking yard for all VWs, and he has been around for over 30 years. And then I hit him back and I said, Eric, give me his info. And then I got a bounce back from his email. So, yeah, I don't think he's at Dmail. Is D next to G? Well, it said at Dmail. So I just replied to that one. So Eric Reed,
Hit your boy back up.
If you hear me, why don't you send me Jim at Interstate VW's information. Another one I got was from Duncan Caradice, and he is in Australia. Another Australian. We got a lot of listeners in Australia. Another Aussie. And he says, "Hi, Bill. I'd love to order some of your stickers to be posted to Australia, but the $50 US shipping is crazy for the stickers. Is there another way? Letter, postage office. Many thanks." Duncan, he's a keen podcast listener in Melbourne, Australia. And so I took one of the Ship Anywhere boxes, like $8, and I filled it full of stickers and stuff and shipped it to him. So Duncan, you probably owe me $20, something like that. I don't know what it was. But I sent you some stickers to pass out to the boys over there. But wait till you get them and let me know how that comes together. So you should have those. I don't know when, but sooner than later. And then the next one says, the next one's from John Anderson. And John Anderson says, "I've been enjoying Let's Talk Dubs podcast since discovering it a couple years ago. A terrific archive of VW history. I appreciate Bill T's request for listener input and thought I'd pass along info on a possible episode topic. Here's a link to a guy, Nick Stokes, who used to restore vintage VW radios up until a few years ago. Looks like an interesting story, and I think would be informative to learn about this aspect of VW restoration, slightly different than the engine body focused restoration topics on LTD primarily covers." It says, "I discovered this website after Mr. Stokes stopped restoring radios and have never met him, but there are owners on the Samba who have sought his services. Thanks." And then he sent me the link. So that's from John Anderson. So if you guys are familiar with VWRadios.com, he stopped restoring radios, but if you guys have his contact information, shoot it to me, because I would love to interview Nick and just kind of get a story on how he started restoring radios, and then maybe some of the things that we could listen to, because the story on his website is that he's a retired electrical engineer from somewhere, and when he retired from, I think it was from the military, he had a guy that wanted to stop restoring radios and showed him how to restore the radios, and he just kind of took over from that guy, and then he just decided to retire and give it up. So I thought, hey man,
He probably didn't have somebody to teach like someone taught him.
yeah. So I thought to myself, you know what else I got time to do? Maybe restore some radios, bro. But you never know. Side note, when I worked at Jim's Auto Radio back in the day, he had in the back, a 53-foot semi trailer with stock radios in it from the 50s on up. There was shelves built inside it, and it was filled all the way up. And I used to go in there like, what are you keeping all this crap for? And that was 30 years ago. So imagine today, if you had that. I mean, it's just like, it's nuts, man. So appreciate all you guys for reaching out. And then we'll go ahead. If we missed anybody that we didn't give shout outs to, I'll do a make good on it next time that we're on the podcast. But anything else you got, George T?
That's it, brother.
So we might be seeing you with us. You might be rolling up to Medford with us, possibly.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, guys, I appreciate you for listening to the podcast. Plenty more podcasts to come. And until next week, guys, later.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen.